everyone, you're watching Barnstable This Morning. This morning we are in Sandwich at the Green Briar Nature Center. It's run by the Thornton W. Burgess Society, and with me this morning is Christie Palmer Lowrance, and she wrote a new book, which is absolutely fabulous, called Nature's Ambassador. So we're here to talk about the center and also your book. Thank you so much for meeting us here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sarah. This is my pleasure.
So first, let's talk a little bit about the Green Briar Nature Center. And it really is a lot about educating children in the community. Tell me, what does the center do, and what can Cape Codders, what can they take advantage of here at the center?
Well, that would take such a long time to go into, really. The Green Briar Nature Center education program, headed by Mary Beers, who's a seasoned and marvelous, incredible naturalist, services children in this area. I think the recent figure I saw was several thousand, 2,280 some children within 1 year. Educational packs are provided for children. The number of children who also participate in a program called Project Life. And this is an award-winning program, fascinating, that trains high school students to educate younger students, elementary age children, in natural science. And so the high school students discover they have to learn a lot to be able to teach. So there's learning going on both sides. That's a program, a unique program that's provided here. The children who come here, who participate in programs, that's another. So the naturalists and the programs are going out, there's outreach, and then there are children who are coming here, getting educational material about nature from seasoned, talented naturalists. So this is really exciting, and I think, as you and I were saying earlier, this is the heart of the Burgess legacy. Thornton Burgess wrote for children for his entire life. And that was the heart and the soul of his career, his life's work, was to bring nature education to children, and that it's still being done. He died in 1965, and so that it's still being done here in a place that he knew. He never lived here in this house, but he knew Ida Putnam well and came here many times. So this perpetuation of an educational focus on nature for children that's been done here for 30 years, it's really exciting.
And it is a beautiful, absolutely beautiful facility. The grounds surrounding the Nature Center are absolutely stunning. And they're, even here, we're in the gallery today at the Green Briar Nature Center. And this is really a show that was just put together recently that's going to be here, I think you said, until November. Tell us a little bit about the show that residents can come take a peek at.
The gallery, which is specifically used to hang paintings and show other things. This is a show that was created by the National Penwomen League, the National League of American Penwomen. There's a very large and active group here on the Cape, and it's an exciting group that I'm a member of that involves both artists, actively involves artists and writers, and explores what the common ground is between the two of them. Suzanne Packer is the president. She does a fabulous job, and it was her idea to have this show here, have the pen women, artists and writers, because there are poems in here, as well as these gorgeous paintings. This one by Anne Irati, this one by Marlene Bell. Suzanne has some pictures around.
And all of the paintings, as part of the exhibit, have something to do and a connection with the Green Briar Nature Center and the Thornton W. Burgess Society.
Right. So this will be up, as you said, until November. So I hope people will come and just take a look at the beautiful work here. There's a lot of talented artists and writers.
And we couldn't talk about the Green Briar Nature Center without, I think, at least mentioning the Jam Kitchen. Tell me a little bit about what goes on in that Jam Kitchen.
Oh, my goodness. That Jam Kitchen has been in operation since the early 1900s. The facility, the equipment is still in use that was used over 100 years ago. It's an active jam kitchen where people chop up strawberries and rhubarb and ginger and put them in the pots and make jam. And then it's produced for sale. They have one unique method called sun cooking. And back there they have trays, and these are open to the outside, so the sun will come in and actually do the cooking.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a little pre-cooking on the stoves, but then the sun does the rest of the cooking, and people love that. It's particularly sweet.
And if anyone is interested, I think that actually you can sign up to take a class, and you can
Yes.
come and pay, I think, a small fee and join the class and spend the afternoon seeing how it's done and making some jam yourself.
And going home with, I think, 5 or 6 jars of your own homemade jam.
And, not to delay any further, let's go ahead and talk about, you said, Thornton W. Burgess, this is definitely his legacy. He really was involved in education, and you've been on the board of the Thornton W. Burgess Society. Is that why you really were interested in Thornton W. Burgess and why you wanted to write this book?
Well, that's a good question. There are multiple reasons, I think. And certainly I spent 4.5 years on it. So that kind of commitment you don't make just because you're looking for something to do. So I have been a writer for over 30 years and a freelance writer, always looking for something to write about. And I realized that the 100th anniversary of Thornton Burgess's first children's book, Old Mother West Wind, was coming up. So I developed a book proposal and went to a couple publishers. Schiffer Publishing accepted, and this is the result of it. But the motivation was professionally as a writer, also believing that this was a wonderful story to tell. Actually, even though I knew a lot about Thornton Burgess, I didn't. The depth of the story was driven home to me, month after month as the research continued,
And really, the book is broken apart into sections. So it does talk about his time growing up on Cape Cod and the time spent here, but it also talks about, his life and his passions and as he developed. And tell me a little bit, what was most surprising to you when you were researching the book?
You've summarized that beautifully, because the 4 parts of the book do go into the different aspects of his life, and certainly his literary legacy, having written 7 children's books, 15,000 syndicated newspaper articles. Any writer can tell you that's staggering. His last book came out when the man was 91 years old. So this was a prodigious, prolific writer. And that, to follow through on that alone could have been, the making of a book. But the 3rd part of the book, about Thornton Burgess's work as a naturalist, I think was what was particularly exciting and surprising to really realize the role that he had played in early 20th century conservation. The people he was involved with were nationally known movers and shakers and scientists with the Smithsonian Institution, Bowdoin College, William Hornaday. There's a full chapter in the book on William Hornaday, who was the first director of the New York Zoological Society that would become the Bronx Zoo. So he was a huge figure in early American conservation, and he employed Thornton Burgess because of his contact with children, his influence with children. So the extent of his involvement with the early conservation movement, I think that impressed and surprised me and delighted me when I realized this was the heart of the story to tell.
And at the time when he was writing children's books, this was sort of not necessarily done all the time. I mean, it wasn't really necessarily the focus. Why do you think he went into children's literature?
He went into children's literature. He was a journalist at the time. He'd been a journalist for 16 years. It was just something he was pursuing. It was no more than that. He had not trained to write children's literature. This was not his burning desire. It was simply another door. And this was characteristic of Thornton Burgess, that he would pursue. When opportunity came, he checked it out. And this was something, the opportunity to publish some children's stories that he'd originally written only just for his son. His son was away from home. He wrote him some stories to, comfort him. And that was all. And then a publisher showed some interest in these stories that he first published in Good Housekeeping. Thornton Burgess was an editor for Good Housekeeping magazine. And so they ran in Good Housekeeping, and then Little Brown in Boston took an interest in them, said, yeah, we'd like to publish these, and can you provide some more? So he did. And that was the book. But it was just a means of income, something that he was pursuing. And as time went on, he began to realize what a vehicle he had for his deep passion, which was children's education about nature.
And what's so amazing, I think, about his children's books is that they're really still being used today. They're still very popular, and people are still using them today.
Right, right. Half his books are still in print. You can buy them here at the Burgess Society. Other places you can buy them online. Dover Publishing is printing the bulk of the half of them. But that books, 80, 90, 100 years old are still in print is impressive.
Well, I really appreciate you meeting us here today, telling us all about your book and the work that you've done at 4.5 years. Amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
For Barnstable This Morning, I'm Sara Mannal.